Welcome to another interesting day on planet Earth. And I'm here today because there is so much happening in the outer world. In fact, here we are, we're in June. No, it took me a little while to realize that we're in June. And you can really feel it very palpably, the energy as it's starting to really increase. And if you look into the outer world at the moment, there's a real lot of pressure happening. I just was watching someone talk about the fires that are happening all over Canada, and how intense they are, and the smoke that's not just affecting Canada, but it's also going into America. And here in Australia, we have our own fires. It's called the political system, and we're in Melbourne. So in Australia, we have just had our interest rates rise for the 12th time in 13 months. And this is really putting financial pressure on so many people. And it's almost as if the energy that's being felt is like there's so much pressure on people that you can feel the anger and the helplessness and the frustration arising to the surface. Maybe that we're seeing that expressed in Canada with the fires. It's very much that inner fire. What else can I do? And to add insult to injury, the Reserve Bank in Australia governor told everybody that perhaps what you need to do is spend less and work harder. That's right. You're already working harder already, but the controllers have got the whip out and they're saying, come on, work harder, work longer. And it's just very much like, I guess, the days of ancient Egypt when you had the masters and the controllers whipping everybody into action. That's what it really feels like. People have been whipped into this state where they're so distracted by the outer world. They're so distracted. There's actually no time left for them. There's no time left for inner consideration, as everything's just winding up and the pressure is being felt. And it's in those moments when we're under extreme pressure, like when a diamond is just being born or birthed, it's under extreme pressure. And that's very much what's happening at the moment. I'd like to share my screen with you, so to give you a bit of an idea of what I'm speaking about, because for all those who follow the Schumann resonance, currently the Schumann resonance measures in hertz. And so this is a measurement in hertz. You can see that there's quite a strong light here, and they talk about this being the 5-dimensional light. From personally, what you will be experiencing is like there's an inner agitation. Also at this time, it happens when people are clearing and purging out of the body. So as if the light's been turned on and any darkness within the body is being purged out. So a lot of people, for instance, we're going through that time of starting of winter. So a lot of people are starting to feel the sniffles and et cetera, but this can also be just the clearing of the body. Now, the Schumann resonance is a measurement of Earth, which is usually 7.83 hertz. So you can see when it has these numbers in front of us here that things are rocking and rolling, and you could definitely feel it, especially in the last couple of days. It was like something's happening out there. I'm not too sure where it is. But I don't want to actually go into the outer world, and I don't want to participate with anyone else. I just want to feel safe in my own haven, in my own home, and manage my own energies. Anyway, I don't know how you feel. That's what I was definitely feeling, but there was an agitation. Something was going on that I couldn't see, and it can be because of that. And of course, we've just moved through a full moon not long ago, so there's lots of those influences, especially what's happening astrologically wise. And so I guess the last thing when everybody's being pressured is the last thing they want to do is consider, their spiritual development or consciousness. But this is actually the right time when you need to, because I look into our community, our E=VS community, and it's the people that have been leaning into support and leaning into getting the guidance and understanding how their consciousness is, how their soul is communicating with them, how the outer world is always supporting your development, your inner world development, that has really helped to guide and support people over the last 3.5 years, if not 4. Obviously, we've been in our community since 2012, so we've been helping a lot of people over that time. But, you know, in that journeying back to yourself and starting to really understand who you are and consciousness, that we step out of a really favorite term that we in E=VS, we talk about foreign events. And foreign events are anything that takes you away from that inner centeredness, that inner peace, and then get you hooked in to the drama. So, for instance, my little talk rant about what's happening with interest rates. You know, people get into that and then they start trying to sort it out in their head and what can they do. And really, when people are put under pressure, they can't think of anywhere else. They're using the very old reptilian brain where it's survival. What am I going to do to survive? What can happen next? And as I said, that's a very old part of how we deal with things. And so it's really important to get quiet. So if it's for you, going out in nature or meditating or having a beautiful bath and listening to some music and some candlelight, that's fine. But stepping out of the drama, that keeps our left brain pretty distracted all the time. And the left brain's not where we sort out any information at all. You know, the last topic over that's also in the outer world has been about AI, and we covered this in the New Earth Academy, that the push to have AI in our faces and supporting us, and the little balance between how is it helpful and then how is it not helpful. And we certainly don't want a robot running our life. And there's a two-edged sword, and there was a program on 60 Minutes talking about it, which gave for 60 Minutes, a fairly balanced look at it. But there were people who were whistleblowers of saying, now some AI has its own consciousness. It thinks for itself. And so this is where we start to look at how does it become something that benefits us to where it becomes something that we are serving them, and we never want to get there, and spiritually we won't. But we need to make decisions about how things are used and how far it goes, because actually in the end the power is with us. And we've been playing, I'm showing you some of my slides, we've been playing with Grigori Grabovoi device, the PRK1U device of eternity, and it has a small amount of non-invasive AI, which looks at your consciousness and starts to see how it's structured, and then starts to remove any of the distortions there. So it's a real retraining of your consciousness. So you start to see the world in harmony the way the Creator does. And so we've been using this over the last few months with our practices, with Grigori Grabovoi's technologies, and I'm really amazed by some of the feedback and what people are noticing. And what it's going to do is it creates a field of eternity, and you can think of it like a new 5-dimensional reality. It creates a field of that because there are many devices in the world, and what it does is it helps to penetrate the distortion in the world and says, no, this is what we want. This is how we restore ourselves to the golden age. Anyway, that's another big topic, but just some of the things that we've been going through. And one of the things I wanted to remember that we were talking about in the academy classes was often when we come to Grabovoi's teachings, it's all about fixing something physically. And so I saw something written this week where the person was commenting that Grabovoi is all about healing the body. And that's not true. actually the teachings are about training your consciousness and getting more in alignment with yourself as soul, and realizing the connection that of the creator to you and your spirit, and the interaction of your spirit in our physical reality and why we need a body. It's the change and entraining of your consciousness. The physical body aspect is just the lowest level that we deal with. Obviously, things turn up in our physical body, and that's when we do something about it because it's causing us pain. And so people see the body, which is basically carbon and matter formed and electrically charged particles, and they see it like a blob, in a human form. But we deal in the information field, just like a computer does. It's dealing with information. It's sorting through information. And so it's at the informational level that light is produced, that comes through into our consciousness, produces energy, and then we perceive it mentally, emotionally. It changes the chemistry in our body, and then we, obviously, if we're not listening, it turns up as something physical. And when you start to see that your body is actually giving you some feedback, is like, this energy feels heavy, my body feels, heavy in this area. Okay, have I got into foreign events with other people? Okay, now I am connected to the foreign events and it's affecting me physically, because we are not disconnected. So if I was to look at our body from the point of view of information, every system would have its own spherical structure, and you would see that it's absolutely interconnected into the field. And so, for instance, when you give you an example, if the digestive system, you can see that there is a line crossing over to the endocrine system. And so if the the digestive system has a distortion in that line, in that frequency line, then what happens is it disrupts the endocrine system. But the endocrine system doesn't work in isolation. It's all interconnected. So you see that in reflexology, iridology, your teeth are connected to everything, your spine's connected to everything. There's just the medical components say, no, it's this and only this. And then that's all they treat and forget that we are a whole. Now, when we deal with restoring health or events, we always look at it from the information level. And you might think, oh my gosh, what does that mean? Well, in the information level, everything is mathematics. Consider the Schumann resonance, the ratio of phi. That produces all these perfect geometric structures, which you see in nature. Everything is in beautiful geometric structures. And you might think at this point, I know I'm going to have to do maths, and now she's wanting to study geometry. And that's not so at all. What I'm suggesting is, at this point, is like, when we approach one of our objectives, we ask our consciousness, and if you're listening, your consciousness is helping to understand your intuition as well. And you ask your consciousness to show you the geometric form of the distortion of, for instance, if it's in your physical body. So say it's your digestive system. So you ask your consciousness to show you the information structure of what's happening in your digestive system. And then in your consciousness, you'll get an image of some geometric form. It won't look like a beautiful sphere or a column or anything like that. It might look like something that is an ink blot or has spikes on it, but it will be distorted in some way. And so this is your consciousness showing you what is out of harmony. And then we apply either numbers code sequences, which are the harmony of the creator. And so the sequence is like the coding, which says, this is how creator designed it without any distortion. So here's the program again, like putting a memory stick in there. So here's the program again, and this is how we're going to restore the harmony. Now, it doesn't happen in a second. It doesn't sometimes happen in a day, but in applying consistently the control, using, for instance, a number sequence, then you start to notice what's happening in and around your physical body. And this is what we practice in the New Earth Academy of Eternity, and what we've been doing with the PRK1U, because it becomes very, very evident. And then you start changing the structures. So if we're not using any number sequences, then we work with the geometry. We change the color, we change the shape, we change where the information is located in time and space, where the distortion has been held. And then we start really, as I say to the community, we start playing. We start to play with the fabric of time and space, and then alter the quantum field, and then it affects the physical body. And when we go through practice, people then experience it. They'll feel a warmth or a tingling. And all that is indicating that the distorted information is now being transformed. And so it's a different way of looking at it. We're not dealing at the energy level, because if you don't go back and remove the raw code that caused the issue, we don't need to know how it happened or when it happened. That's something that really satisfies the left brain. But we need to understand how to remove it and how to come back to harmony. So anyway, I just wanted to jump on here. Well, obviously, we have another academy class coming up on Tuesday, and we've been working with rejuvenating our body, and there's been a beautiful control with a number sequence, but also really developing the consciousness, which we're ongoing with, because we're showing people how to retrain their consciousness to be able to come back to them and have a beautiful connection with themselves, understand that they're not alone, because many people at the moment feel in some way that they are alone, that they've been left alone and there's nobody supporting them. And in fact, you have your soul, you have your angels and guides that are around you. More importantly, you have the Creator. And the Creator, if you look at it to the point of now, you know, many of you have been supported in many different ways, maybe not the way that you would have hoped, but there's always been somebody there that's had your back, supported you, and showed you some love. And so when you can start to see the Creator is with you and not against you, and that things are happening for a reason, even, you know, with the pressure, for instance, that are happening globally with people, whether it's in Australia with interest rates or people losing their housing or whatever, at the time you're going through it, it feels challenging. It feels you're losing your power sometimes, but actually what's happening is you're being pressured like the diamond. And in that pressure, in that process that you go through, you start to see that things are working out in a way that you wouldn't have imagined. But sometimes when you look back, you think, oh my gosh, I'm so happy that challenge was sending me on a new path, on a new direction. And in fact, thank God, because look where I am now. I'm in a better position. It doesn't feel like it sometimes, but I can speak from somebody that's gone through a lot of challenges in my life, and I won't get into that. Some of our community know that, but it's because of the challenges that has really enriched and made us who we are. And with that, we have then a very strong, for me, a very strong connection with my soul. And Brian, my husband, has a very strong connection as well. And this is really our guiding light that helps us get through things, and then be able to really just stop the outer world from trying to push on us foreign events, and we're just in our space, doing our thing, keeping our focus, and really helping people make that impactful change in their life, and be able to get through the challenges that not just you are experiencing or I am experiencing, but humanity is experiencing. We're going through an evolution of humanity. And so there will be a few challenges. So if you feel like joining us, please, I'm going to put the links below. And I want to remind you too, if you've never had anything to do with Grigori Grabovoy's teachings in it, and it's really interests you to get a deeper connection with yourself, your soul, and understand how it works, in how our reality actually works, how it's created, what happens, what's the interaction between me and my spirit and the world around us, then I am running the Soul Code workshop, which is the foundation of the teachings of Grabavoy, on the 22nd and 23rd of July. That's next month. And I'll be running this in two ways. I'm running it live, and I'm also running at the same time online. So we trialed this last month, and it worked out very well with people. And so if you're not able to make it to our training centre, then you're able to join us online and be part of that. I'll put our website details there so you can go and check that out on our website and get all the details of what we cover during that. So everyone, I just send you big love at the moment, sending my heart to yours, and just keep coming back into you. Block out the outer world, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.